Hi everybody, I'm Manu from Kiln. I hope you enjoy your party last night. So Kiln is a staking company. We are running nodes for Lido, Ledger and other customers. And currently we are talking about real-time monitoring of your Ethereum validator. When you are a node operator or even when you are a solo staker, it's really important that you are alerted when you miss a block or when you miss attestation, and that in real time. And we are going to talk about it today. So basically, we are going to talk about monitoring from the inside and monitoring from the outside, and want to monitor. And if you have some times, uh, I will take some questions. Very quickly, what is monitoring from the inside? When you have validation infrastructure, you have some execution node, you have some consensus layer nodes, validator clients, and so on. And you can monitor very easily CPU, memory usage, volume usage, network usage. And this is really easily done by tools like Prometheus and Grafana, for example. And here, just a quick example of all our Go Ethereum node, the disk usage. So I won't focus on it today, on monitoring from the inside, but I will focus on monitoring from the outside. So when you want to monitor your node, your validator client, your validator keys from the outside, of course you need a validator infrastructure. And basically, this is an example of validator infrastructure. You have some private subnets, some public subnets. So in private subnet, you have, for example, MEV boost with connected to some relays. In public subnets, you have your beacon node, your execution node. And on private subnet, again, you have your validator clients, Web3 signer, replicated, a DB for anti-slashing, and a vault when you load your validator keys. Here is a bad example, don't do this, of monitoring infrastructure. So here we have a monitoring tool, and you will see that this monitoring tool is connected to the same beacon node and to the same execution node than your validator client. You don't want to do this because you want your monitoring tool not to interfere in any way with your validation infrastructure. For example, here, let's imagine your monitoring tool has a bug and does a lot of query on your beacon node and execution node. And in this case, your validator client may have some troubles to connect to your beacon node, and so you may miss attestation. And so don't do that. What you can do, for example, is spin another execution node on another beacon node and to plug it to your monitoring tool. So your monitoring tool won't interfere with your beacon node. And here you load the keys to monitor with just a file. Another possible way is approximately the same, but your monitoring tool is going to load public keys from Web2 signer. So your Web2 signer is your source of trust about what key you should monitor. It's also possible. At Kiln, we developed internally a monitoring tool, which is called Ethereum Validator Watcher, and we open sourced it a few weeks ago. And so I will talk about it right now. So what to monitor? The first thing you want to monitor, of course, if when you miss a block. When you miss a block, it's not good for you. It's not good for the network. And so you want to be alerted in real time if you miss a block. So for example, here, we miss a block at 12. We saw this here, and we saw also a log on our monitoring tool. And this corresponds to this missed in beacon chain. And so possible issues when you miss a block is you may have an issue with the relay, you may have not enough CPU on your beacon node, or the get header may be sent too late, or your validator key is not managed by any validator client. So you want to monitor when you miss a block in real time. Second stuff is when you monitor miss one attestation. It could be normal sometimes to miss an attestation, and so it corresponds to this in beacon chain missed. And so the tool monitors miss attestation. It's a yellow curve. Here it's this smiley with a sad face. It indicates some of our validators missed, actually a lot, miss an attestation in this case. And it's okay to miss one attestation. It's less okay to miss two attestations in a row. And so it's the same here. You have the orange curve. And the tool indicates you when you miss two attestations in a row, and it tells you in real time. So you can be alerted, and if you have an on-call guy, and if it is 2 o'clock in the morning, the on-call guy can be alerted. And also, so you can miss one attestation, you may not miss two attestations in a row, but what is also possible is when you have too many of your attestations which are not optimally included. Normally, when you attest for a block, your attestation should be included in the next block. So we call it the inclusion distance, and you should have an inclusion distance of 1. And this monitors actually the number of suboptimal attestation you have for the last block. And here, for example, this curve is interesting because it represents the loss of finality of Ethereum network 1 month ago. During, it was in May or in June, in May, I guess. And so during a quite long period of time, it is our Prism and Teku node had a lot of suboptimal included attestation, and so you should be alerted for that. And it represents in the beacon chain this little number 2. Ideally, in the beacon chain, it should be 0. Here it's 2. That means we have 2 slots late about attestation inclusion. And so here we have a log indicates that we had some non-optimal attestation inclusion. Next one is when you are a node operator or even a solo staker. In general, you don't want to build the block yourself. You want to build the block through an external builder and external relayer. And you want to know if your block has been built by a non-allowisted relayer or if your block has been built by your local execution client. And so this curve indicates each time we propose a block not built by allow-listed relay. In general, it's because we have some reorganization in our beacon node. And or you can also have some issue with MEV boost, for example. And also you want to know as a node operator when you are going to propose a block. On the beacon chain, you know 2 epochs in advance who is going to propose a block. And when you're a node operator with a lot of keys on validator clients, you don't want to reboot your validator client, for example, for an update or for anything. You don't want to reboot it if you are going to propose a block in the 2 next epoch because you may miss a block. So what is very important is to know in advance, am I going to propose a block? And if yes, I should wait a little bit before rebooting my validator client. And basically, what you see here is we are going to propose 4 blocks in the next 2 epochs, and we know the pub keys actually. So one in the 9th slot, one in the 13th slot, and so on and so on. And it's quite important for you also. Okay, so we talked about missed block, we talked about missed attestation, and what we want to know also is if your validator if your validator attests, but for the wrong head, for the wrong target, for the wrong source. As you may know, when you do an attestation, you have 3 main components, which are source, target, and head. And basically, if you don't vote for the good head, you had zero GUI for that. And if you vote for the wrong target on wrong source, you can have even negative balance, negative reward. And really, you want to know that because if you vote too many times for the wrong head, it could mean that you have an issue also with for example, with your beacon node. Your beacon node is overloaded. And so this curve just represents basically untimely or bad source vote, target, and head. And also, thanks to the reward API of the beacon API, here it represents the theoretical Ethereum reward for the last 24 hours. Here in green is what you really had because you didn't act perfectly. In orange is the delta. And yes, this number represents just a percentage. So here we acted 99.5% perfectly. It's not 100%, so we should improve that. And also another interesting metrics in when you exit validator, you want to be sure that your validator really exited because yes, when you trigger an exit, you just trigger, you sign an exit message and you send it on your beacon node. Normally, there is no issue, but it could, maybe your beacon node didn't correctly submitted the exit message on the network, so maybe your validator did not exit. And so, yes, with this feature, you can monitor all your exited validator. And we have also other useful metrics. Very briefly, here is the total asset you manage. Here's the total asset of the Ethereum beacon chain, the epoch, the slots, the number of your validators slashed, 0, hopefully, I hope. The total number of network validators slashed, the number of your queued validators, the number of total network queued validators, the validators, the entry queue length, so it's quite long right now. The price of ETH, the epoch completion, so it's from 1 to 32. The number of your active validators, the number of total active validator, your share of validator. And this is curve we already saw before, and this is the logs. Yes, of the watcher. And it's thanks to Grafana, it's also very responsive, and you can get a very nice graph on your phone. So thanks, Grafana. And yeah, so about monitoring alerting, so this tool can directly send message on Slack, can directly send message on Slack, can send metrics on Prometheus, also write some logs. And so with Prometheus, you can also set alerting based on metrics, so you can the on-call guy can be waken up in the night. And actually, yes, options are quite simple. You just specify a beacon URL, an execution URL, a list of cookies you want to watch, or a list of web designer URL if you want to use it. A free recipient if you want. I forgot about this. Yes, we want to be sure also that when you propose a block, you propose it with a good fee recipient. Yes, very important. I forget it. So the monitor also monitor if you propose a block with a wrong fee recipient. And it's compatible with Lighthouse, Nimbus, Teku, and Prism. Not yet tested with Lodestar. And yes, basically that's it. It's open source. You can scan the QR code, or you can go to the link. And if you have some question, you have some times right now. And after, you can reach me on Twitter or by mail. Thank you very much for your time.
If you have any question, you can raise your hand and I will bring you the mic.
Hello, thanks for building this awesome tool. Looks very great. My question was for existing validators, can you also sort of backfill its historical data with this tool?
Well, actually no, but it should not be very complicated to implement, because just right now it's the validator just wait for the next slot. But we could add a feature just to to start for the start of the beacon chain and to backfill. Basically, it was really a real-time monitoring tool, and after the usage moved a little bit to more statistical stuff and yes, API and more commercial metrics. But yes, I don't do this right now. It's possible to do quite easily. Yeah. And yes, you don't need a database. I mean, Prometheus has a database, but you don't need, I don't know, Postgre or DynamoDB. It's just plug and play. Yeah.
Hello. You recommended not to connect this to the existing beacon chain node, but it's very hard for solo stakers to spin up another get prism just to connect this tool. Would it work with also public nodes? Or?
Chain stack. You can use chain stack if you want. Maybe you know chain stack, I guess, is the only one RPC on the beacon chain. Before we had Infura that stopped the service a few months ago. You can use chain stack. Actually, chain stack use Nimbus, and there is some little feature that Nimbus does not support. But yes, you can use chain stack. Actually, Alluvial, the Alluvial company, use chain stack with this tool. It works well.
Hello. What do you think of the different Prometheus endpoints? Are some better than others, lighters, for example?
Can you repeat?
What are some Prometheus endpoints better than? Do you prefer lighters metrics or some other protocol?
I mean, you mean Prometheus or a beacon node endpoint? So I didn't really get your question. We use Prometheus for sending some metrics, but the tool is connected to a beacon node, which is either lighters or either Prism or either Teku.
Je voulais savoir si lighters étaient les métriques de lighters étaient meilleures pour toi que.
No, because we just use we just use very the open beacon API. API, and so lighters implements it, and Prism implements it, and Teku implements it. So it's just some minimal bugs with Nimbus right now, but there is some tickets which are open. Yes.
And we use that all the time for the question, so it's over.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.